lot of cash until the business gets open. Hard money,
Hmm.
that's expensive. 30-40% interest, that's a lot. So what if the soft costs that you're incurring to hire these design professionals could be financed through the company? I mean, I think the consumer market is used to that these days. If you want to buy a iPad Pro, just as an example. I mean, only cool people have iPad Pros, I've heard. But you want to buy something that maybe is a couple $100 that like maybe you have the money for, maybe you don't. Obviously, don't spend money that you don't have. That's just not good financial advice. But I've done this before where it was like a furniture set from Walmart, and it was like a couple $100, right? But it was a 0% APR 12-month thing. I'm like, that's free money.
Yeah.
I might as well do it. And of course, be careful with that. I have the discipline not to get. You could easily drown yourself in that, but it made sense for me to do that, right? I might as well. That's just basic econ right there. That money is worth more to me today. I could do more with it today than I can in 12 months. It's 0%. I'm not paying any interest on it. It's nice. And so what if there was an option for people to finance the construction soft costs? Whether maybe even it is a 0% thing. You can just set it up in payments. I think most people would want to have some sort of payment plan as an option for these soft costs. It's just tough because you've got maybe your architect that you're paying, you've got your MEP that you're paying, you've got your structural, your civil. If you're hiring all these people directly, it's just a lot of invoices flying around. That's why people like consolidate debt a lot, for that reason. And what if there was a world where you could go to one place, select your team, and then have a very easy to understand, like a firm style financing option where you can set up payment plans, very transparent about how much interest you're paying, over how many terms. You set up auto pay and you forget it. I mean, we just had a guy pay an invoice. It was like a $4,000 invoice, and I sent him a reminder, and I'm like, hey man, pay this for the late fee start tacking on, and he's like, I just paid it. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah.
Like I think most people just see we're all busy. We got 1,000. I think that invoices for, and I'll shut up soon, but I think that invoices for other people are like Procore emails for us. It's like there's so many of them. It's
Yeah.
just so easy for them to fall through the cracks, and it's no excuse not to pay your bills. But I think people would love to have an option where auto pay was an option. If you've heard me talk about the damn sewage bill in Hopewell, the sewage and the trash bill is the only bill that I don't have on auto pay. So I have a stupid reminder on my phone. It goes off every month so I can pay it.
Hmm.
Before I did that, I was like 3 months. I would just pay it like every 3 months. Pay a $10 late fee. I was like, whatever. Doesn't impact my credit, so it wasn't a huge deal. But it's like, why don't you have an option for me to do that? I think that the industry standards for payment of invoicing or whatever is obviously outdated. I mean, especially if it was set by the AIA, we could talk for days about pay is bullshit.
Yeah, they should
But
jump in on the spaces.
yeah, no shit. So I think that summary. The soft cost for the small to mid-sized projects is more of a retail over-the-counter transaction, which is the closest you're going to get to like a consumer market. Buying something on Best Buy, having payment options, buying something on Amazon, having payment options. It's basically that for the folks that are in this world. So I don't think that this would be anything that they're not really already expecting. I think that it would be a welcome feature for them to have. For them to pay for their soft costs. They don't have to go somewhere else to try and get that funding, or be stuck with late invoices or things that go to collections, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just another option that doesn't exist right now, and not everybody's going to need it. We were talking on that Spaces call the other night where a lot of the larger deals especially have already got the capital stack sorted out, and they've raised the equity or debt to pay for it, so it's not needed. But on the leasing side, I see a place for this makes sense, and also on like the smaller project side, and that's really our focus in the first place. There's got to be a place for it. Then we were talking about who is it? You have a friend that's an owner's reps, and where that could work. Imagine being able to just put together a bundle of services. I mean, that's really what we're after, is getting it to the point where you bundle up services quickly for a small project. It should feel like a retail transaction.
Yeah. Yep. we already talked about the downside. Now, one of the arguments could be all I'm paying for is my architect. The architect hires my sub-consultants. And that's great because you only have one bill to pay or one person to sue. Shit hits the fan. But there's a lot of cons to that too. We know those all too well. Communication gaps that can happen and conflicts of interest. Not to hate on the architects, but you guys are a very picky group of people. Sometimes it's hard for things to get communicated, and there's this expectation that all communication goes through you, which is fine. I get, if you're the contract holder, you should be aware of all the communication that goes on. But what happens when I'm trying to communicate something as complex as a delta high-leg system and how it's going to impact the building? It's like if we're all working here on the behalf and in the best interest of the owner or the developer, then I think there's a world where each consultant should be able to communicate directly to that person who's footing the bill for this entire building and all of our services without having to go through some communication process where the architect is always in the middle. That drives me crazy, and it kind of trickles down to the payment because you get into things like pay when paid and all this craziness. It's just a quick way to sell relationships. Because we've had folks, architecture firms, won't name any names that we enjoyed working with. They were all right until it came time to pay bills, and then it was like pulling teeth trying to get them to pay our bills. I don't care what people say. The work's important, whatever. The work is important, but getting paid is also very important. Because if we don't get paid, we can't keep doing good work that we like doing. And doing designs that are safe for people, and we enjoy the work that we do, but we have to get paid for the work that we do, and there's got to be some level of expectation that getting paid like 5 months after we've already done the work is not acceptable. And there are certain people that get that, like Jason Hopkins, design physics. He called you this morning, Kenny, because I dropped the ball in getting him an invoice, and he's been begging me to send him an invoice so we can get paid. That's great. And I told him, man, I wish all of our clients would bother me and as much as you're doing to pay us. That's great. That's great. And I don't even tell you this. He texted me back. He said, I hate having invoices out there. You guys deserve to get paid. And I hearted it. And that's awesome. Everybody should have that mentality. I have that mentality with my personal finances. I try to just pay things off in full. If I spent the money, then that's or a card or something, whatever. If I hire somebody, I try to pay them quickly. Like, I don't know. And I don't know. Is that like a personal thing, or maybe it's a business thing, or like a mix of both? But like, there's got to be to some extent, some sort of personal attribute of somebody that like maybe it's just something that they either have or they don't have. Like being able to design a set of plans that looks good. Like is that like either you got it or you don't, or can you be taught that? Or if it's the same thing here. It just trickles into people's business. Businesses.
There's people that either just forget, they're ADD. There's people that stress like me about having an outstanding bill and want it to be paid, and want to be seen as credit-worthy buyers. Because the reality is, you get a preferential treatment for sure. And then there's people that are very much in tune with the time value of money, and know that being paid quickly and paying slowly is an equation for more economic profit. So, there's that for sure. I mean, it's a free loan. I mean, why, when you already have a loan out there and you could wait to pay, or, basically delay the interest payments you would have to pay if you borrowed to make that payment.
Yep.
Or just use your own cash now for some other thing. It makes sense. So yeah, slow pay sucks in the industry. I think that we talk about it from the professional services side, but it definitely applies to everybody in the industry. I've heard a lot of people, contractors, everybody complains about it. Even brokers, I'm sure their fees. I'm curious if anybody's a broker out there. What does that feel like? Because I'm sure that fee is paid delayed, commissions. How long does it take to get that paid? And how does that work? I mean, maybe it is quickly after closing or upon closing. So maybe they don't have the issue. 2% broker fee.
Yeah, but at that point, it's like a very clear delineation. It might even be something that's automated. versus us. I think that the design professionals especially struggle with this because okay, in that broker example you just gave, right? Like the end of the transaction is the closing of the property. I think everyone can agree on that. And I'll ask you, at what point do we deserve to get paid? Is it when we send out the drawings? Is it when construction starts? Is it when they get their permit, or is it when they get their CO?
I think a fair moment to be paid, honestly, in our market, we're a small project market, it would be due on receipt, because you've already worked for 30 days if it's a monthly invoice. So that's enough of a loan. But I think the market would expect pay when paid. And if they're going to concede in something, then maybe a 30-day payable is probably industry standard. I don't think that's fair, though. The answer may be it depends on the time value of money. So you can normalize the equation and say, let's assume the industry-wide, we can say 30-day pay period, and that's a fair time to be paid after invoice. And we also have to keep in mind we've at that time at least done 30 days of work. So it's 2 months since you started doing the work until you realize that revenue. And during the first month, you're accruing, some sort of payable, and then you make the invoice, and now you have an official quantity that is an asset on your balance sheet that decays over time, is paid. So 30 days, okay, fine. So two total months. And a good call. And so yeah, then you have, I guess the answer to the question is, if you made the payment options, then the answer is it will be different based on somebody's decision. If somebody wants to pay later, but they want to pay more for paying later, then that's fair to me. What's not fair is if they pay later at the same price as whatever terms you had. And that's where it sucks. That's where people that pay on time get punished for paying on time.
Yeah, this is where this is the difference between buying a product versus buying a service. And the reason I ask you that question is because I agree, right? Like as soon as we start doing the work is when we deserve to get paid. If I'm going in to get a tattoo, and I'm not a tattoo artist at school, and he doesn't charge for consulting time, but I absolutely would expect him to.
Mm-hmm.
If I go in and consult with a tattoo artist about something that I want, and I take up an hour of his time, but decide I don't get a tattoo, I still think I owe him for that time. Because now I have knowledge that I didn't have going in there that I should be paying for. Most people say, well, yeah, but you went in there for a tattoo, you didn't get a tattoo. So but I still took up this time. In my mind, that's a service. Sure, I'm leaving with something. I'm leaving with a tattoo, but it's a service. In the same way that people are leaving the transaction with our drawings, but that's not necessarily what they're paying for. They're paying for the service. Of course, they are paying for the drawings. Well, they're paying for the use of the drawings. They're not their drawings. They're our drawings. Same thing with the tattoo. Actually, it's pretty interesting. Like copyright stuff with that. It's kind of crazy to think about. I get it with like a picture, but something that's on anybody. Anyway, that's the thing. I think people are just so people can agree for a retail transaction when it's a product. Same example. If I go into Best Buy, I want to buy some headphones. Should I pay them when I walk out the store with the headphones? Or should I pay them a week later once I decide to actually use the headphones? I should pay them as soon as they become in my possession and they leave the store. That's a retail transaction because I bought a product. For a service, I think people get so tied up in what the result of the service is supposed to bring them that they forget that they should be paying for the service. People see our drawings and say, okay, this is going to be used to get my mechanical electrical plumbing permits. That's the end goal. And that's when they think that they should pay us, and that's not true. You're paying for the consulting that goes along with that. Drawings are just a piece of that. They're a part of that consulting.
Yeah, instruments of service is the word for the output. I think that's what yesterday's Twitter drama was about is people being angry or not understanding that you're not buying an output, you're buying a consulting service. And so the output, the deliverable is an instrument of service. You're not entitled to that. You didn't buy that. That's intellectual property owned by the person, furnishing some instrument of service, which is otherwise like, how else would I communicate all of my consulting in some way that's useful as an output? It's not, if you want that, that's a different thing. That's a work made for hire. That's like hiring a graphics designer to give you a logo, and you make sure that the fee you're paying will also make you the author and the owner of the logo so that you can own the copyright. So if you want to be so think about this though, for everybody that was in on that Twitter argument about CAD files, right, and feeling entitled to it, if you want to own those, you would consult an attorney. But my belief is that you would ask in the contract to make this a work made for hire, where you want to buy the output, and then that you would want to own the copyright of that, so you have rights to it. If that's true, then you would be the author of that material. So issues with the drawings would be yours as the author. I don't even know if you could do that with professional services, honestly, because you can't be the author of that legally. You can't be an architect. You have to be licensed for that. It's interesting. So at best, then maybe it's a copyright licensure. So you could request you get a deliverable of a CAD format thing in the contract, but you still wouldn't be the owner of the copyright.
Yeah.
But all of that, maybe, talk about marketplace app. I mean, if that is a known, I've heard so many people complain about that, then the marketplace could have there be an option for you to ask or request that be part of the price, and then watch the price jump by 20 grand. People get upset because they think it's like kind of holding somebody hostage, but maybe it's not. Maybe it is. I don't know. But in any case, I know somebody would charge a premium if they had to like transfer copyright, or you'd have to sign some indemnification or something. It doesn't come for free.
Yeah, I think that's just part of having these conversations for people to understand what it is that we do. And same we should be understanding what other people do. And what their expectations are. Right. That conversation about those CAD drawings we have in this conversation was interesting because there's a lot of different perspectives. Like people are on one end saying, you wouldn't expect the plumber to do his work and then leave you the tools. Like CAD is the tool to do the drawing. On the other end, people are saying like, you shouldn't hire that person ever again. Blah blah. And just kind of. That's why my comment was like, or at least the last part of it was, it's hard to say without knowing the full story.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to get, and that's true for a lot of things. Little life advice there. Try to understand the full story before you pick a side, really, because who knows? I mean, I don't know that situation. That guy could have not paid his bills. He could have maybe threatened to take the CAD files and like manipulate them in a weird way a couple months ago about something. Like who knows? Right? Like nobody really knows what's going on. So it's hard to kind of make an opinion on that without knowing the full story. But I mean, our model is, architect's a little different, I guess, because people ask us for our model. It's like, why do you really need our model? But a lot of people ask the architect for their CAD file, like to do their work. Like even we need the CAD file from the architects to do our work. And I think that it's safe to say that we would even be scratching our head if the architect refused to send us a CAD file.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Yeah, I get it. It's like an industry expectation, because we're in the same boat. We get architectural CAD files and models all the time, But this is a solar company, so who knows? This may be a little different. But I mean, if we were to really get technical, it all depends on what's in the contract. And I think that's the whole point of this conversation: trying to blend and understand what's in the contract versus what are just general industry expectations. And they pay when pay comes to mind, because we don't have pay when pay in our contracts. In fact, we explicitly say that we don't honor it. But it's like an industry standard that's a thing. So which one do you follow? Maybe you end up somewhere in the middle. I think that's where a lot of these frustrations are happening.
Yeah, one thing is for sure, saying that that's what we've always done is not really an acceptable answer.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
We get that often, like, well, that's how it's done. I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't make it fair that your industry is at large going to force me or attempt to force me into a position of negative return on equity. If anybody's paying attention and they own a business and you know what a balance sheet is and you know what return on equity is, then maybe you can relate to the idea that having receivables that do nothing for you except wait to be paid is not a real asset. I guess if you've read Rich Dad Poor Dad, he redefines asset as something that's cash flowing, that returns something. And a receivable sitting there waiting to be paid is doing nothing for you. In fact, over time, it's losing money and it's giving you a negative return on equity. This in AIA, if you are listening, for the love of God, that's what it is you're basically structuring the entire professional services industry, and in fact, the contractors as well, to just be in a position to just accept negative return on equity on their balance sheets. Like, what a ridiculous thing to not at least be talking about. We can easily make that and transmit it into a note of some sort, at least normalize the idea that these could be terms on a contract in AIA. And that's what we want to do with the Marketplace app. We are building for the Marketplace app. You sign in, hey, what's up, Cat Risk? You sign in and you get all your services bundled up, maybe even the insurance is part of it. I know he's building a SaaS product. And at checkout, you can originate a loan as an owner and owner financing. But I mean, the fact of the matter is right now, this doesn't necessarily apply maybe in the extremely large projects. Oh, here we go. Raise hand. Do you know how to add?
I think I can.
Yeah, I think you're a co-host. You should be able to add them. You can't really right in AIA is kind of they have a huge construction market, right? So these large projects may not need these instruments. I mean, because like we talked about on the spaces, you have the equity investors, all the soft costs are funded and all that, and you're ready to go. The problem is it's not an option. And by and large, especially in the small project markets where, margins are lower, risk is arguably higher, you end up with kind of this weird situation where you're supposed to have negative return on equity. And that's what we're at. On the Marketplace app, when you bundle up, you got your architect, your engineer, your structural, maybe your insurance premium. And at checkout, if each of these service providers on the Marketplace are going to offer lending, you would be able to accept it at that moment, and not third-party lending. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about owner financing in the first place. What's up, Cat Risk?
What's happening, brother? Just listening in. I dig this project you guys are building, so I was just learning more about it.
Yeah, man. Tell us real quick about your Marketplace app. I don't want to, completely take everybody off of the Marketplace idea we have, but aren't you building a SaaS product in the insurance world?
Yeah, so I basically figured out a way to measure the degree to which adding a new property to an insurance portfolio has the effect of either accumulating risk in a given area or having the benefit of spreading risk for that particular portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
And that affects pricing. So what that allows me to do is construct portfolios of properties that have an ideal spread of risk to the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
So when you take those risks out as a portfolio rather than insuring them one by one, you can significantly reduce the cost of insurance. So I'm building a pretty simple app, but on the back end, there's a lot of machine learning and AI that basically does all of those calculations and basically builds those portfolios that then allow me to bring new insurance products to market that saves everybody money.
So this is insurance for buildings. What kind of insurance?
Commercial property insurance is the key driver. It's all commercial property, so primarily property and GL.
That is interesting. I mean, it is part of the conversation that generally. So on our side, we have our firm PermitZip is an MEP consulting engineering firm, and we've really just been obsessed with what we call small projects, just because there's always small projects, retail. There's people and developers that just completely are focused on retail, or maybe it's a larger REIT or something with a portfolio and they have annoying kind of pain in the ass small projects. Problem is no engineer wants to take them on. So we thought, well, what if we scaled that and obsessively figured out how to provide good resources for small projects? Because really, contractors and service providers aren't interested. So that's PermitZip. But now we're thinking, what if we added to this equation the idea of a marketplace app? And that's what we'll be releasing soon. So if you go to our website, you can get a price, punch in the square footage and you get a price. But what if it wasn't just for MEP? What if you punch in the square footage in the category and you had multiple AE firms of all disciplines giving you prices that you could shopping cart, bundle up your whole soft cost package on a small project with a rating system and everything. So there's some risk underwriting there. And then at checkout, what we were just talking about when you hopped in was owner finance it out. So, it might be 150,000 of services. You have like these 3 buy options. Traditionally, it goes through a third party lender, like a firm or something that actually provides capital. But we're talking about buy now, pay later structure, owner financing situation. And that solves a problem on the AE side, but we're toying around with, would it also solve a problem on the buyer side where in the small project market where maybe it's not a huge GP LP deal, it's like just some sort of developer themselves or a TI that needs these services. And now this is a financial instrument that would compete with hard money in terms of its interest rate. But now I'm thinking, okay, well, what if what we're building had a unique connection, because there maybe is information about this building that could feed into whatever system that you're doing that would become like a, hey, here's an insurance offer of some sort on this building. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of overlap there, especially because you're working with the smaller developers. Somebody with a REIT is already benefiting from sort of economies of scale, and when they're able to leverage a significant amount of premium against the market, they're oftentimes getting better rates. Like take a Florida property, for example. You got a single Florida property, they might be paying, you're probably paying excess of $1 rate. Whereas somebody with a $1 billion portfolio might be paying a 35-40 cent rate.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just a lot of like I said, leverage there and economies of scale that take effect. But your smaller guy, your smaller owner that maybe only has one or a couple of properties can't really benefit from that at all. So that's essentially what my product does, what my service does, is it groups those small owners with other owners like themselves, but that provide a geographic spread of risk that's attractive to the insurance marketplace. So they can access carriers that maybe have much larger minimum premiums that wouldn't be a fit for their single building, but when grouped with others, all of a sudden everybody's saving in premium.
That reminds me, Carter, of when I talk about the debt we're creating. I've been told by the debt gurus that really what you want to do is bundle them up in some sort of debt, what do they call it? What's the
Collateralized loans?
Yeah, collateralized debt application sort of situation, I guess. And so if let's just imagine we have all of the AE. It became normal that we were just on this marketplace and there was just a large amount of people liking this, using this debt, and a lot of loans originated, but then now there's a secondary marketplace of debt. Somebody could go and buy up a bunch of it, and then it's another source of liquidity for AE industry. Like, you can sell your debt at a discount. Like, hey, I got this 12% note. I'll sell it to somebody today at a 4%, or some sort of discount so you can get the spread, and I just need the cash today. Or does anybody want to lend me money? Now they have this cash flow on this performing note. It's just tons of ideas that seem to be possible in that secondary debt market. But what you're doing with insurance kind of reminds me of, you could bundle up all of these different loans and let people buy bundles of loans, basically.
Yeah, and for the marketplace, I mean, I'm benefiting from the same thing that you would be, is reduced uncertainty, right? There's a lot more variability on how that loan, the risk involved in that loan, as opposed to what happens if you have a whole portfolio of loans. Just the actuarial calculations and the probabilities of default. You have a lot more certainty. And that uncertainty, both in insurance and I'm sure what you're doing, is priced into the loan.
Yeah, it's unique on the marketplace for us. I was thinking, and I'm not an actuary, so I don't know anything about how to think about risk. But I wonder if ratings themselves would be a consideration for the interest rate set. Let's say, I mean, a good client, a bad client can be the difference between making money and not, essentially. So if you're going to lend and it's got somebody with bad ratings, and like you broke those ratings into categories like, professionalism or communication or expectations or whatever things are that lead to somebody who's a profitable client versus somebody who's likely to be a pain in the ass. They want it cheaper and they want more services because they never feel like they got what they paid for. And then at the very end of it, they're probably going to sue you anyway, So that person may never even get a loan based on ratings alone, even if they have a great credit score. So there's that part of like trying to think about risk in terms of automatically calculating maybe interest rates on behalf of the owner financiers in the industry. I don't know. How are you an actuary? Do you have that mind? Do you think about it that way, or is that?
So I'm not an actuary by any means, but I'm a specialist in something called catastrophic risk modeling.
Mm.
So that's essentially where it's computer software. There's a few large companies that pretty much dominate the insurance and reinsurance marketplace that collects all the information about the property. So where it's located, what year it was built, the type of roof that it has, any of the primary characteristics or secondary characteristics about a building that will either mitigate or amplify a loss, should a weather event happen. And then the model will run hundreds of thousands of hypothetical and historical loss events against that portfolio, and then it spits out a probabilistic outlook of what type of losses you're going to have over time. And it's those statistics, that's data that the insurance marketplace uses to decide, if we can offer coverage on this risk, if so, for how much premium and what terms you can offer. So, you can do that on a account by account basis. You get the same output. But then as you start adding properties to a portfolio, what you notice is the addition of each, like I said, has the effect of either increasing those loss results, or because there's some sort of spread of risk involved, reduces those loss probabilities. So being able to sort of construct that portfolio that is the right mix of properties in the right areas with the right terms and all of that has significant value, because placing those risks one by one, you're incurring not only just the transactional cost for underwriting and servicing each policy. When you combine all those together, you can have a portfolio of risks that have the benefit of reducing uncertainty for the insurance marketplace, and also helping them spread risk. And that's, really Insurance 101 is spread of risk. That's why I chose this here in the first place. So that's my added value to the marketplace. I add value by helping insurers and reinsurers spread risk, and that just drives down prices for everybody.
What is a reinsurer? I've heard that before.
Yeah, reinsurer is an insurance company for insurance companies. So a lot of times your insurance company, if let's say you got a $100 million building, they're set up to they're set up to write a policy and take on the risk for all of that $100 million in risk. It's just easy and quick for an insurance company to do that themselves. But then, just like a bookie or anybody else looking to hedge against their bets, they'll lay off some of that risk. So they'll go to a reinsurance company, and they can do it on a per risk basis. So that $100 million building, they might say, well, we only want to keep the first $10 million of risk, and we're going to sell to the insurance marketplace the 90 million excess of that 10 million. So they'll take part of the premium that you paid for your $100 million premium. They'll keep the portion that's dedicated for that first 10 million of risk, and they'll lay off the rest of it. So reinsurance companies will take that risk from insurance companies either on a per account basis or a portfolio basis. So if you had, let's say you had 100 $1 million locations, the reinsurance company can do something similar, can write 90 excess, or maybe they'll take the reinsurance company will take 900,000 excess of the first 100,000 of risk on each and every location. So there's a bunch of different ways to chop it up, but just essentially it's another mechanism to spread risk so that any one insurer isn't exposed to insolvency from one large catastrophic loss.
That is crazy. That is so wild to think about.
But I start a reinsurance company.
I know. I wonder how many times that comes up. But yeah. So this is just, if you're tuning in, we're just riffing on. You can hop in on Spaces with us. Join. Like we were talking about the marketplace app, but interestingly enough, Cat Risk Management has hopped in and given us the 101 on insurance and risk and reinsurers and all this, and how he's bundling up risk and how that's categorized, adding and removing different buildings. What is, just a quick question, what makes something completely uninsurable? What would be one kind of factor that just makes it, can't even touch it?
So there's very little that would make something uninsurable. Something if it's what you're doing is illegal. That's probably like the biggest one. But I spent the first 15 years of my career as something called a excess and surplus lines wholesale insurance broker. And as a wholesaler, I was basically a insurance agent for other insurance agents. So any deal that they could get done with just your standard insurance companies out there, they would place themselves. They would have relationships with insurers that do your more vanilla risks. But any time anything got really risky, they would come to me. So like J-Lo's butt's insured for millions of dollars. If butt fell off tomorrow, Lloyd's of London would cut her a check, right? That's insured in my marketplace. You're a chainsaw manufacturer. If you're launching satellites into space, that goes into this excess and surplus lines market that is, we'll call it less regulated. It's not regulated by the state. So there's a lot more creativity that those underwriters and those insurance companies can do. They can make up their own forms, make up their own rates, and it allows them to adapt to challenging marketplaces. I was primarily focused in the property space, commercial property space. So the riskiest things in commercial property are like multifamily apartments, and then my specialty, which is catastrophic exposure. So anything that could get hit by a hurricane, shake up an earthquake, or drowned out in a flood. Those are the exposures that I specialize in. But you can insure basically anything. From time to time, you get a risk where the premium paid is more than the recoverable limits, which is kind of wild. So, really it's a function of a price most of the time. And it's what a lot of folks are seeing in the Southeast right now is they're basically getting priced out of insurance. Just large natural disasters, the market getting hard and prices going up. A lot of folks either can't afford it or, or just decide to go without it.
Rand on Twitter, Carter, was talking to me about this. Shit, we should tag him because he's just been obsessed with this. Maybe you can speak to this. Private equity people buying up claims. I don't even understand what that means. Are you familiar with what that is and how that works? Like buying a claim from insurance?
Are you sure it's buying a claim?
I'm not.
Okay, so private equity recently, we would call it in the insurance world alternative capacity. And capacity is just, the bank of money that's going to pay out claims if they were to happen. You get capacity from insurance companies. You get capacity from, Lloyd's of London, which is an insurance marketplace. But the insurance marketplace is cyclical, right? When there's a lot of competition, there haven't been a lot of losses. It's a soft market. Prices are cheap. When you have large catastrophic events like a 9/11, which was a huge insurance loss, or a Hurricane Katrina, which was another big one, and there's 60, 70, $100 billion worth of insurance capacity sucked out and paid out in claims. You enter a hard market. Prices go up. There's less competition. Terms and conditions get restricted, and when that happens, all of a sudden, as an investment, insurance becomes all of a sudden really attractive to different types of capital. So private equity at this point, because prices have been so high, and especially in the last couple of years, they'll set up different financial instruments similar to what you guys are doing to basically buy the risk. So even though they're not technically set up as an insurance company per se, there's various mechanisms by which they can buy that risk. One way they do it was like with catastrophe bonds. So it's basically a financial instrument that allows you to bet on the type of catastrophic insurance losses that there are in any given year.
Jeez, that's wild. No wonder he started low key becoming obsessed. I just texted him and invited him just to see if he wanted to hop in. But that's just crazy. The idea in general of just creating finance or financial instruments with risk, essentially.
Yeah.
Everything is risk. I mean, right? Isn't that? I mean, that's what an interest rate is supposed to represent. So I guess that's the idea. Is can you get a spread on the risk calculated in some sort of insurance bundled package against some sort of financial instrument? I mean, it's way above my head, but all I can say is I'm going to probably read way too much about it this weekend.
Give me a buzz if you have any questions. Cat bonds are not my specialty, but they're super interesting, and a lot of times they're purchased by insurance companies, right? If they know they're on the hook in Miami for $10 billion, if another Hurricane Andrew comes through,
Mm-hmm.
and if they're not able to sort of lay off those bets in a way that makes sense in the reinsurance marketplace, they might be able to find institutional investors or venture capital, private equity that will buy a cat bond at a price lower than what it would cost for them to send it to a reinsurance company. So if they get hit for like that 10 billion in damages, they buy a cat bond that would pay out and kind of make them solvent. If they're losing money on the front end on the insurance, they make money back on that catastrophe bond.
It's crazy.
It's nuts.
What's up, Molly's up? Welcome to the chat.
What's going on? Last night was a pretty good room, I thought.
Yeah, I think so, y'all. That was a lot of fun listening in, and we got Cat Risk back here talking. We're just Carter and I just usually in our business we start riffing on this marketplace that we're building and everything, and then we start realizing why don't we just go ahead and make our conversations live, just to invite anybody in real estate to talk. And so this has been an interesting one. We were just talking about the marketplace app that we're building, which is you go on, let's say you have a tenant you need AE services for, you put in square footage category, and you get to pick this firm, instant pricing, right? I'm going to pick this architect with this rating, an MEP here, structural here, do my blah, 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 right? And then bundle up a whole package of services on a marketplace. Then we were talking about creating the lending that I brought up last night. And then I'm talking to Cat Risk, Cat Risk, what's your, well, I don't want to die.
Stanley C.
Hey, Stanley, how's it going, man? So Stanley was just saying, I was just like, man, wouldn't that be cool? Because now we have this information about a property. We got the address, the square footage, and the architects that worked on it, which may or may not be something that's useful in an actuary standpoint, like a credible designer and build team, potentially. Does that impact any risk? I don't know. But the idea is then that could be pushed out potentially to a risk, an insurance package like his, which is cool because I think, he had mentioned he's building a SaaS product, which is fun. I can't wait to see that. So yeah, what's on your mind, Molly Sup, these days?
So that's just a legacy name. I'm gonna have to figure out like a new name that's like a little more generic anyway. But I thought Cat Risk was interesting last night. Obviously, I don't understand anything about insurance when it comes to except that it's expensive and where in my markets, and that like I just need a guy to call. Like I don't have to dig into these things. My job's hard enough. So I'm definitely going to give Cat Risk a call. Stanley a call. You can send me his number and bring him into a couple deals. Cat Risk, when would I bring you in? Like what's the timing?
Whenever, man. Some deals they take months to put together. Some you got a closing, you need something quick. I can help you on both. What you said you're doing basically malls. What?
I'm not.
Where
I'm
in the
not.
country? Okay.
I was doing malls around the country. I had like 6 million feet of malls, or 8 million actually.
Jeez.
But so which was like literally like 10 malls. But I'm not doing that anymore. I'm doing a little of this, a little of that, but multifamily properties around the country.
So
Most.
that's my specialty. I'm one of the top multifamily writers in the country, and especially. Hey, that was close.
I forgot I got sound effects. What am I doing? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, especially anything that we would consider cat exposed. So anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. Literally sitting on the coast.
Yeah, no, that's what I do all day long.
Salt water on the windows.
Salt water on the windows. That's my favorite. So I will listen. I won't bore the rest of the crew with my story again. But I'll make it quick. For first 15 years of my career, I was a wholesaler. So an insurance agent for insurance agents. I only saw the risky stuff, and I only did commercial property in cat-prone areas. So I put together a couple of new insurance programs that specifically were designed to lower the cost of insurance for people on the coast. And it's been wild. It's been wild the last couple of years. But I've really dug into AI and machine learning, and pretty soon I'm going to launch a product that attaches to my services just as an insurance broker, but it basically uses AI and machine learning to construct portfolios that are more attractive to the marketplace, so I can leverage a portfolio of risks. I can help folks who maybe only have a couple of deals or one or two properties. I can help combine that with other deals from other folks and reduce everybody's commercial property insurance. Now, but day job, just I'm a transactional broker, so anything that you have that you need help on, I think I sent you my email. I transact through the insurance agency or a national agency.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I just didn't know when to give you a call, like in the deal process.
Whenever.
Like, let me give you an example. Right now, I have a deal. 400 doors.
Okay.
And it's on the coast, and we're getting offers right now as we speak. So do I bring you in then?
Yeah, absolutely. The sooner the better. As soon as you have an idea of what the property is and what you're going to need, I can start lining up markets. I can get the submission out there. So when those deals are about to close, you're not scrambling.
What do you need? What kind of information do you need?
So if you shoot me an email, I'll send you sort of a full breakout. But we essentially just need a couple of things. The first is going to be a statement of values. And I'll give you a template. I'll give you one that's specifically designed for like Florida and coastal risks. And it's simple stuff. It's the address, the year built, the type of construction, and you can fill out as much of it as you can, and I can help fill in the details. I've got some tools available if you can't find all the information. There's a handful of these primary characteristics, just the number of stories. But then data is king now. So anytime you can help me with what's the roof made out of, and how is it attached to the envelope of the building, and what's the slope of the roof, and all sorts of what they call secondary characteristics. Depending on if those make the risk more attractive, we send those additional features out to the marketplace.
Like Hurricane Andrew, is the roof attached?
Is the roof attached? Yeah, that's always okay. That's Kenny asked me earlier what's uninsurable. I'll put that in the bucket of uninsurable.
Do you remember Andrew, or am I dating myself?
Oh no, I remember. I mean, I wasn't down in Florida for Andrew, but I geek out on historical huge loss events. So Andrew's one of my favorites.
That's wild.
One of my favorites. I collect baseball cards.
Yeah,
that's what you do, man. That's what you do to market yourself. You should make Storm like baseball cards.
It's funny. I've got all the historical storm
You can
back.
take that. It's like, Bob Knackel does his baseball cards and stuff. You can take like that, but you can do it for storms. That'd be cool.
Sign a new client and send them a nice little thank you card with Hurricane Katrina.
Not even that. Just anybody that like reaches out to you, just be like, or you reach out to them, just be like, hey, you want to pack the baseball cards? Have some chewing gum in it, some nasty chewing gum.
Make it the cat card playing game too. So like Pokemon, where you can play it if you want, but you could just collect it. But it's an actual insurance like aggregation game.
Yeah, like garbage truck kids. You can put them all together, the cards, and make them look like one big thing.
And then there's like super like rare cards like the Andrew card, but then more common, tropical storm cards are easier to find in the packs.
Right.
That's hilarious.
I feel like
Every now and then you get a Michael Jordan or a Gloria. Anybody remember Gloria?
No, what was the Bertha? Big Bertha hit Virginia pretty hard. Was that the one? Carter, do you remember? Big Bertha, they used to call it.
That might have been
I remember that. Was that 70s?
No, that
predates me a bit.
maybe not. And maybe I'm just thinking of some crazy game. Hurricane Bertha, yeah, that was 96.
I'm talking. Gloria was in the 80s.
Okay, yeah. Yes,
There was
Irene
Irene that came across Florida, went into the Gulf, and then was like, "No, I'm not done yet." Circled back and hit Florida again.
Yeah, which one was that?
I think it was Irene. I could be wrong, but I think it was like 2005. I think it was like 2005 or 2004.
Irene came up to New York.
Okay, then I've got the wrong one, but
No, it might have like the trajectory might have been like it went out to Florida and then went back up the coast.
That you mentioned, I don't mean to interrupt our card planning. I think we should have a breakout on this and start this card business. But just just quickly, you mentioned like this number of floors, the year built. If somebody doesn't have that information, how do you do that? Do you get somebody to like get the application for you? And this is a question for both of you, Molly Sup and Cat Rickley. If you're filling out this application, do you need to physically sometimes go there or send somebody there to gather?
If you're a broker, you should be shot in the street if you don't know that information.
Okay, so it's like readily available on
CoStar.
It's readily available like in your brain.
Oh yeah. You shouldn't not know that information if you're trying to sell that property.
I don't know what kind of roof. I don't know the roof. I don't know how the roof is attached, but I do know the year it was built.
Yeah.
And everything else.
Yeah.
Year built, square footage, construction type, and I license CoStar. So basically, every commercial property is on there. It doesn't have all the information.
Yeah, it has a little wrong information, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's close enough. Yeah, and then I subscribe to some other services that will actually go out there and do a physical survey, but that's more for like an industrial property or some crazy large manufacturing facility.
Yeah. Somebody on Facebook, we're streaming out there too, said that this one friend Jen, design fees put in escrow at the beginning of the project, distributed to a third-party inspector based on a preset benchmarks or scope. So Molly, how close were you tied to the AE side of things, or is this just completely outside of the broker's world?
Well, I was, but they didn't like that I did it.
Oh, what do you mean?
Like I would step on construction's toes all the time because they were like slow and like they didn't really get back to you or whatever. So I just did it myself. And I would find AEs, and I would find architects, and I would find contractors, and I would get them all in the fray and get them all like linked up with our construction guy. But he hated me.
The construction guy did?
Oh yeah.
Did he not like having? Was it?
No, he thought I was stepping on his toes.
Oh, like that's his job to put together a design team or something?
It is, but he didn't do it.
Well, good.
Well, it wasn't the problem was we had 200 malls, right?
Yeah.
So it was like
Hello.
Picture how many.
Sorry. Yeah.
When you get a call, it doesn't tell you. Picture how many deals were going on at the same time. 200 times. I don't know, 5 or 10 each mall.
Mm-hmm.
So he just couldn't. He was one guy doing it.
Yeah, that's actually part of why we think a marketplace solution is an ideal solution, because there's that one guy. They may be great, but scaling them is difficult. So if you could easily get it, I'm talking strictly the services side, the design side. but I think it would still kind of be ideal in the construction. But if you could get that price from a website by punching in square footage, basically this
I would. Yeah, that'd be great.
information, then be like, hey, here it is. You can sign this contract if you want, right? We were even talking today, like an owner's rep could use the marketplace to bundle up an ideal AE services package and then forward it to them to sign, authorize, and put down payments on, or take, whatever financing terms they want.
What I call it is hold number.
Hold number. Oh, that's good.
Hold, HOLD number, like meaning like it's a number that you can like subscribe to, but it's not. Maybe it's not the end of the day when you get dig into the details. Like you think there's a good HVAC system, and then it's crap, but it needs to be replaced or whatever.
Yeah.
Or parts need to be replaced, the fan needs to be replaced, something like that.
Yeah.
And I would use that as like a hold number to say like, well, this is a pretty good like rule of thumb. Unless I'm wrong.
Yeah, I like that. We'll have to start using that's kind of why we're here also on Twitter, trying to learn about what is the language, what is it like to be on that side of the transaction. Hold number, yeah, it's a reasonable hold number. I mean,
guys, I have to hop for a second. I have to grab this call. I'll be right back.
All right.
Kenny, I just listening to you just there. I just thought of something. I'm not sure if it's a threat or an opportunity for you. Probably both.
Okay.
Because I'm not big in the construction side on the general liability anymore.
Yeah.
I still do like builder's risk. Insuring the building while it's being built. But I know that there's a little cat and mouse game that goes on during the bidding process, where the subcontractors will sort of inflate certain services, certain line items.
Mm-hmm.
And if those line items don't actually come in at that amount, they just they keep the difference. So it's sort of added revenue for the subcontractors, and I'm sure the general contractors play that game a little bit too. On the insurance side, we kind of sold that to our clients where we would teach them how to write a wrap policy. A wrap policy is basically where where the general contractor would buy insurance for the entire project. And they would cover all of the subcontractors' work. It's just a very efficient way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So to give you an example too, what the general contractors would do when they were bidding out to the subcontractors, they would get a line item from them for insurance, and then let's say the subcontractors, boosted that number up and said it was going to cost them $50,000. Well, then at the very end, the general contractor would come in and say, "Oh no, we're going to put you on our insurance. You're covered. Line out that item." And the subcontractors would be pissed because they had inflated that number in the first place, and now all of a sudden, that they're having to take that out of their bid. I'm not entirely sure how that would map over what you guys are doing, but thought I'd bring it up just something to think about when you're thinking about who's going to be upset that toes are being stepped on, but just another thing we're thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, when you said the wrap policy, it made me think about wrapping anything. Like this is Carter. This is what we were talking about with the owner's rep. Just the idea that you could wrap up not an insurance policy, but a AE policy. So it's almost like a pseudo prime position that you could put together very easily. Architects are notoriously in charge of that. So I guess maybe a loose parallel to like a wrap would be an architect acting as prime, and they have to hold all of the services under them, which means their insurance, I guess, doesn't cover it. But if a lawsuit happens, it goes through them. And I think developers generally like that. So there's this opportunity to maybe provide a different kind of almost contract structure. I'm just thinking out loud at that point, but imagine like just a wrap. Like, here's your package, here's your bundle of services.
Everything.
Yeah, and kind of sell it in that way. Owner's rep. I guess, Carter, talk about you have a friend that is an owner's rep, right? What do they do?
Yes. I mean, she's just an owner's rep, which, I mean, they do a lot, just help somebody that's never been through this process before and all the stuff that we're talking about, just through it all in the permitting. Your guys that start off in residential, they're kind of creeping their way into commercial construction, just don't really understand that process. That's what they do mostly.
Mm-hmm. It's also a benefit. I don't know if this hits you, Cat Risk, but it's such a sophisticated environment that it's easy for people to make mistakes, and you just wish you could have told them something before they did whatever. And so an app could be structured over time to learn these mistakes and give these warnings as you're buying and bundling your AE services. Like, hey, your category, you may want a life safety professional. A lot of people skip this step. Are you sure you don't want to put this in your package of services? So is there something similar in insurance where somebody's buying something and maybe it's not your fault, it's nobody's fault, but like if only they had a consultant at the moment they signed to just not do that one thing?
Oh, I mean, definitely. Insurance is probably one of the least understood marketplaces out there. And then there's also, a lot of E&O exposure out there. So anytime somebody buys just a regular, property policy, it does not include flood insurance. But a lot of people don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time of binding, when you buy your insurance policy, you're definitely going to sign a disclosure form that states that you understand there's no coverage for flood. So I would definitely. I mean, that would probably take you guys a minute to work out the logic, but sort of those if then statements that if they're purchasing this and they haven't considered this, to throw in or try to bundle that additional service.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just looking it up. I don't do a ton of it myself, but my office does. I mean, shit, my office probably does more A&E insurance business than just about anybody in California. So
Really? And well, you might have to write a custom insurance for
Well, the same way-
brokerage app like this.
So the same way that the same way, and it's more difficult to bundle, property insurance the way that I'm doing it than it is for like a professional liability or a general liability policy. So I think long term, you can have and you can offer your own insurance policy for folks on your platform.
Yeah.
And you're essentially the owner. You're essentially the insured, and you have members that subscribe to it. So I think long term, if you're aggregating a group of people who are buying insurance all over the place, all of those little things that I use to lower property insurance premiums, you can use for A&Es on your platform.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, so you're saying like the platform itself could hold the E&O policy for the users, which would be another benefit for being on this platform, because E&O is very expensive, and we're really targeting. And again, we're in the small project market, just specifically small and medium projects. That kind of the place where people don't want to be, because I mean, like you just mentioned, E&O is expensive, so getting involved in the first place sucks. So if you're a solo practitioner, what we call a license and a laptop, and you can hop on a platform, automated proposals, lead flow, and insurance, there's a lot of value to that for sure. And it solves the market problem, which is what, I mean, even Mall Leaseup was talking about. The contractor stepping on his toes, but he's the only contractor available because it's hard to find people wanting to do these small retail build outs, basically. So yeah, that's crazy.
And it solves that problem again of what I would say is like a minimum premium problem. So a lot of these insurance carriers have minimum premiums. Like your risk could actuarially derive $1,000 insurance premium, but the marketplace, the lowest you can get out there is say $2,500.
Mhm.
Well, if you aggregate 100 different $1,000 clients, all of a sudden that minimum premium consideration doesn't exist. So you could be saving certain clients, half on their insurance premium just as a function of they're too small to buy insurance or get affordable insurance or get the cheapest price on their own. They just don't have a risk that meets that minimum premium threshold. But since you've aggregated them, and you can structure a policy to aggregate those folks, you'd be saving everybody money. So down the road, once you guys get up and running, it's definitely a feature we can help you out with.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk more about that. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
What about a per project insurance that could be brought up at point of checkout that people could buy? Would that be doable? Like at the point of sale where they're ready to go, they're about to authorize, they have these options for owner finance that we discussed, and then there's, do you want to have a one-off project E&O purchased or added? Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah, that's possible. I'd have to really dig into sort of the underwriting criteria and who our markets would be for that. But if the project is simple enough, I'm sure if it fits, if it's something crazy, it's probably going to need a real underwriter to take a look at it. But simpler projects, I'm sure, are pretty quick and easy to sign off on. And I probably got the rates somewhere just in house. You could build that on your back end, so they answer a few questions. That's essentially their application gives us all the underwriting information, and then you'd have the policy, basically the quote template for this real basic project, and you plugged in the rates, and then boom, you could spit out a quote right there.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I can tell you it's a good idea because we do have an architect listening who just commented that would be epic if the license and laptop guys could get E&O per project. Yeah, so I think we are definitely onto something. There's a huge volume of supply that's virtually untapped of professionals that would otherwise become available through this, who would perfectly serve small projects that are virtually impossible on the buy side to find. I mean, people don't want to do
You
it.
said a laptop and a what? What do we call these folks?
License and a laptop is what I call it.
License and a laptop.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, I'm gonna jump and I'm gonna go start digging into license and laptop reviews because this seems like a winner.
I'm gonna go look at reinsurers when later this afternoon. Thanks for hopping on, Cat Risk. It's been great talking to you.
Take it easy, fellas.
Yeah, you too.
See you, man.
We got Turtle Capital chilling with us. Let us know if you have if you want to hop in and be a guest. We are just talking about insurance. I never really even thought that would be connected the way we did connect it to a marketplace app, but that is cool. That is wild to add at the register the ability to owner finance if somebody wants to, for the soft cost, but also a whole list of multiple professionals with pricing in seconds of all over the place. It's automated pricing, and those professionals can customize their contract and have these contract terms and the features of, hey, are you sure you don't need a life safety professional, or this category you may need a smoke purge system, maybe find somebody with that skill. But also, do you want to buy insurance, to cover this? Or do you want to filter it by people that carry their own policy? If not, you may get access to more people that don't carry their own policy, but you can do it on a per project, or sell it to the service providers themselves, or just include it in the platform. We don't know, but that was totally awesome riff. Thanks to Cat Risk for joining in on that. I don't know, Carter, what do you got? Any thoughts in your mind?
Yeah, as an add-on to that, I mean, we could get hooked up with Chris over at Zabel. You're talking like construction costs, estimated construction costs. You got your square footage, you got your soft costs. You got a way to finance it. You've got a way to insure it. You've got an estimate for how much the actual construction is going to be.
That is, yeah. We got to get send Chris a text and tell him to hop in on here on Twitter, or call in on the show.
I'm gonna tag him on LinkedIn.
That's cool. So what Carter just brought up is a friend of ours works for a startup in California that is kind of expediting or like automating the pricing of construction. So some sort of partnership integration where you could get an idea of how much it might cost. So I guess I'll use at Mall Lease Up's term, the hold number. Hold number, it's like, hey, this is where you are, the hold number on the AE side. And here's a whole package, a wrap of services. Here are your financing options. Here is an insurance option if you want to just one-off insure your project yourself. And here's about what you can expect in construction based on your region, or through our partnership with Zabel. That would be pretty badass. And of course, if you're listening in, we're specifically talking about small and medium projects where it's hard to find reliable, scalable resources in construction. The REITs or the LPGP partnerships, maybe everybody's fighting and interviewing over that. So it's easier to get access to top quality talent in construction and all that. But once you get down to a 15,000 square foot office TI, or maybe a smaller 2-story kind of office shell build out, or, maybe some multifam that's less desirable or, to the market, that's where we are in a marketplace. That's where PermitZip as MEP engineers dedicates our entire minds to. But the marketplace that we're going to be releasing would be that. Oh, by the way, if you are listening, we forget to mention it. You can sign up to get on the wait list for the marketplace. That it's going to be released in this winter. So you will be able to get on there and find these services. And if your service,
That what it's called?
yeah, the Permit Zip Marketplace.
The
Yeah,
what?
it Permit Zip, which is like permit and zip, like zipper, and then marketplace. So Permit Zip currently is the company that we own that's strictly an MEP consulting company, but we're basically transforming into a marketplace instead. Where
I feel like Permit Zip like sort of boxes you into like a corner,
okay,
paints you into a corner for the name. I like Hold Number as the name of the company.
hold number, well, the hold number marketplace. Let's see if it's on.
Yeah, you gotta have something like more broad.
Yeah, it's you know, and another thing on that note that I've wonder should be here in the marketplace is entitlement services. What is that? I don't know anything about that. What does that look like? What is that? And who do you call and when in that entitlement process?
It's just for land. It means that it's like ready to go. That's all I know about that.
Yeah, because I've heard it a lot. I'm just trying to think of all the soft costs in general, and I'm very familiar with the professional services side, and that's kind of where we're focusing on it. That's the idea. It's highly focused on soft cost on construction projects. The hard cost stuff, there's just not enough. There's too many people competing in that space, and then there's Chris. Yeah, we got a Chris Pollock guy that might join.
So,
yeah.
Soft cost marketplace. How about that?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
I'm serious. I'm serious. The other name is too like you're in a corner and nobody people think you need to use permits. Like, oh, I don't need permits right now.
That's true. Yeah, because not every single soft cost. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
So if that's what you're focusing on, just name it that. Like, you know, like make it so people don't have to think about like who you guys are when they're when they're thinking about it. Because I like the whole concept is basically like right now if you're gonna do that, you're gonna go on Google and you're just gonna start like talking to locals. I had to do that a lot when I was doing that for the mole company. I would just go on Google and like say Kentucky or Michigan or wherever, like, you know, Flint, Michigan, or somewhere crazy, you know, and then call up people and sort of interview them on a one-to-one basis and figure out are they interested in this, you know, project, and B, are they capable?
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing all the vetting for, you know, all the pre-vetting or whatever, so people don't have to go on Google, it takes people away from like, you know, those like public realms of anybody that can put up a website that, you know, is probably maybe not capable of, you know, doing a job like this.
Yeah, and the most
It takes a lot of time too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's hard to find people interested in this particular size project, and if they are, how long does it take to even get a proposal back? And so on Permit Zip, our website, you know, you can just punch in square footage ME and or P for mechanical plumbing, and you hit enter, and it'll email you a proposal with all of our terms in it and a price, and it's ready to go. Same idea, and it's a simple algorithm, and we have, you know, built a back end to allow us to configure it. Essentially, what we're doing is consulting with architects and engineers about these inputs and giving the access to them so they can also configure their own automated dynamic pricing, so that when you as a buyer in that world go to the marketplace, you are getting prices from all people all over the country and automatically. So yeah, that I do believe that would make that simpler for sure. And of course, a rating system, I guess. I don't know where to integrate that, but that way you could say, hey, these guys were great. And on the other side, and we have some, you know, pretty shitty, some shitty clients sometimes too. So on the other side, you could be like, hey, don't mess with this guy. He sucks. You know, and that way the sellers can basically be like, not interested. So I do think even that would make the performance better. If I knew I was getting rated at it and it was a public rating, I'd be a lot more careful with like my attention to that client, you know.
Right, you're treating it like a bigger client. Kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Not like we could screw up and move on.
Mm-hmm. That's wild.
I'm surprised you can get a real MEP quote. Like, is it based upon square footage or is it?
Yeah, in category.
Okay.
Yeah, go to thepermitzip.com and try it. You'll get a price in there, and it's a proposal, everything. And we even have a more sophisticated app. You could become a user and customize it further. But if you were to call me and say, hey, can I get a price on this? I would go to my own website and forward you the email for the proposal. I wouldn't even check the price. because we've tuned it. Like we can customize it on the back end. So it's a restaurant or it's a TI, like a retail tenant or whatever it is. And they're small projects. So for us, it's kind of like dollar cost averaging. And these fees aren't going to be huge. So it would cost me more money to try to think too much about the proposal in the first place than to just get it to you and be like, oof, that one hurt. Let's change the algorithm for the next time we do a restaurant. It's kind of how that works.
What's up, Turtle? What do you do?
Yeah, Turtle. Tell us about yourself. Hop in.
Other than being Vince's sidekick.
Yeah. You
Come on, entourage.
Mall lease up is the ultimate spaces get people on. I remember Hold number marketplace.
That's not good, but soft cost marketplace is good.
Soft cost marketplace.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
There we go. We got a speaker.
I'm sorry. Are we on recording right now or no?
It's streaming to a live stream video platform.
Who's on? But is it recording or no?
Yes, or it might be on if it's on YouTube. So yeah, let me check.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. That's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it is, but I can probably turn that off. But yeah. What's up?
What's up, boys? Hey, thanks for having me on stage here. Cool little space. Yeah, I'm just trying to learn from you guys. I'm trying to learn from you guys. I'm a retail wealth manager guy. But I have a lot of clients that dabble in CRE or like creating their own little CRE projects, and that's essentially and that's the interest. So
yeah, that's kind of
that's what's going on, man.
That's what
Where are you?
I'm in SoCal.
Where are you on the screen?
Right in the middle, top right. I don't know.
Which one are you? Chris?
Non-turtle.
It says listener. That's why it's weird.
Yeah,
to me too. When I'm on a speaker.
Man, since Elon took his pitch over, it's been a little while. But,
it's like the Wild West.
Yeah, in a good way too. There's this is the Thunderdome. Let's see, market's just closed, but yeah, man. So just enjoying the space. I think it's. Tell me, I'm trying to understand what a soft cost marketplace is.
Tell Sloan I said what's up.
Okay, yeah, I would love to. I haven't seen her in a while.
We do own now softcostmarketplace.com. So
okay,
we're good.
So what is the soft cost?
You really bought it?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not even going to take a fee.
It is, it is recorded, so you can.
A soft cost is anything like architectural fees, engineering fees, anything that's not going to buy you something hard. That's the best way to put it.
Okay, so
help. Maybe I'm wrong, but help me out.
Yeah, or like entitlements. Is
anything that is not like literally like going to buy you like a piece of metal that you can stick to the building or something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I would imagine in California, it's like probably a huge percentage soft cost.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Knocking on California.
Well, that's all I know. So I got no choice.
Yeah.
I mean, you mean like entitlement fees and all that?
Yeah. And that's why it's like NIMBYism, right? Yeah, entitlement fees, NIMBYism, and
We do have Joanna.
NIMBYism is not a soft cost. I don't even know what that means. I know what it means, but I don't know what it means.
Well, just like the fact, I just imagine, like, if you want to build an ADU in Oklahoma, I imagine it costs a lot less, not including building costs, which is probably also less, but just the cost of getting your permits and, like, the first shovel you put in the ground, I would imagine it'd be a lot more in San Diego than Oklahoma City, right?
Yes.
But what do I know?
It's true, and that's what on our app, the Marketplace app, we've been looking at that feature where you could, if you're a professional, let's say architect or an engineer, and you're trying to automate the pricing algorithm, then you could geographically adjust fee for that as well. For those reasons, like DC versus Richmond versus, in our area, we have these counties that have a lot lower or less stringent requirements, or less people looking that you're likely to get comments on, or inspections that are less stringent. And so yeah, that's definitely a consideration on that. So if you're pricing right now, we're about to be licensed in California. So right now, if you price on our website in California, you're going to get really cheap Richmond rates, I can tell you. So, pro tip, if you're in California, you want engineering, we're not licensed there yet, but we are adding that feature to adjust for that. And I guess that would probably spread through all the professionals, their pricing based on the jurisdictions.
You guys are by background, or
What'd you say?
you guys are architects by background, or what's your guys?
Engineers. Yeah.
Yep.
We're the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing nerds, behind the walls. And we usually piss off the architects because our ductwork, they don't ever want to see it, and we always have to have it. So
14-foot ceilings.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. I like the. I think it's a cool concept. It's cool.
But you get hired by architects too, right? Isn't that?
Yep. Developer direct, architects, or design build, where the trade might hire us, like a mechanical contractor or electrician.
Broker?
I've always thought it would make sense for some deals for brokers to be there, or brokers to use the Marketplace app and create a wrap hold number on the soft cost website and forward it, to say, hey, here's the deal. Here's how much, I got this number that's good for 30 days if which gets us through closing or something. That kind of.
Allow me to introduce myself on this one. You ready?
Yeah.
Brokers are risk adverse. It's very hard to get a client, right, to say yes to anything, i.e. you know what I mean? They're buying you. So this is the reason you don't hear from brokers. So most brokers, myself not included, don't want to get any other professionals involved, because then there's another reason for them to lose the client.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like if that goes poorly and you referred them somehow.
Yeah. You have mud on your, whatever.
Which okay, that's an interesting perspective. That gives value to the marketplace. You could say, hey, here's an example, but you should go on here and check for yourself. I've just put together an example. So you're not necessarily referring anybody in particular. You're like, hey, I put this together. You can go and vet whoever you want. It's very simple on the marketplace, but we got an idea of how much it might cost. So maybe you're not necessarily, because you have multiple engineers to choose from, multiple architects. You might choose one in the middle of the road just for a number, forward it to them, then they can customize it later. But then you're not necessarily referring any individual architect. It's just as a tool for pricing, setting a tone on the marketplace. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention is if you don't find the price you want, or your clients, we're going to give the same pricing configuration to the buyer too. So if you're not finding what you want, you could configure it and say, here's what I'm willing to pay, and then make it as a job listing on the marketplace. And somebody might just say, screw it, I'll take it. I'll do the architecture for that fee. So there's that way to
also on this, I feel like this would work more for brokers, than the typical setup where you just bring in, Amanda Jones or whatever, as an MEP or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Then where this is like, hey, I got this whole number real quick. Here's what we're gonna do. This works for you. Down the road, you want to hire this guy or this person. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of submit this to the marketplace and get it bid out or whatever. But whereas I don't know if I'm saying it right, but I think I'm getting it.
Yep.
The existing setup is just like, here, let me refer this person to you.
Yes.
And in this way, you have the broker loves control, right?
Yeah.
And so this way, you're more in control about the process.
Yeah, and you're not being too committed. You're using it as a resource for pricing to give somebody an idea, because that's part, I guess, of, you can tell us more about that, the process of, I guess, due diligence. Does it include some level of finding a hold number in construction? And you might, what does that look like? Could this be a tool for that process?
Yeah, somewhat.
Yeah. We got
everything's different, but yeah, somewhat.
We have some interesting folks. Joanna's here, and is that the same Joanna Carter?
Yeah, that's her.
If you want to hop in, Joanna, you can tell us on the owner rep side what your experience has been, and we also have Chris here. You're welcome to hop in too. on your side of it. I know Chris does some development work, also has a technical background, and Joanna has listening in, and she's got owner's rep experience, and also I think worked for a mechanical contractor for some period. But yeah, this is huge insight. You know, mall lease up. Whenever we call brokers, it's always kind of like that. I don't really get involved with that, but it's amazing how much there is to learn when we start the Riff. You know,
Well, the risk adverse. So if that's them being like, I don't want another situation to happen with my client where I lose them because you screwed up the whole process or whatever it is. But if again, as I said, if you have this marketplace, I think they do need the numbers. You know what I mean? I think that is important because so I've had deals that just literally they hang on the construction numbers. If the client can't pay for what the cost of the build out is or whatever, and they can't get it from the landlord on TI, then there's no deal.
mm-hmm.
So I think it's very much. I think this sort of eliminates that, or at least reduces that the risk that a broker feels bringing somebody new to the table.
Yeah, Joanna, welcome.
Hey, thanks. I'm trying to kind of understand a little bit. I think I came in a little bit late in the conversation. So, what exactly are you guys trying to put together here?
Well, the conversation. This is what's cool about these spaces is that we explore areas we didn't even know we should or could have explored. But what we're building at PermitZip is a marketplace app where you could, if you're a developer or an architect even, or somebody who needs professional services or soft costs at softcostmarketplace.com, shout out Mall Lease Up, you would punch in, let's say something simple, square footage, building size, very quick, simple form. And when you hit submit, you would get prices from architects and engineers and entitlement folks around the country automatically before you that you could check and add to cart, kind of like DoorDash style. And then you'd have all of your services in cart with prices that you could authorize. We have talked about a couple other features like bundling up insurance with that purchase or some financing for the purchase. But the idea is in general, you could create like this almost like a prime agreement that you could get somebody else to authorize if you're a broker and just give them an idea of the price, but it would also be lead flow for the professionals on the other side. And so that's kind of the marketplace app we're going to release here ourselves this winter, but we're just talking to people about it, getting some new ideas, features, or things that we're missing. So in your experience on the owner rep side, what does that look like navigating soft costs or professional services, finding a good one? Do you get involved with that? Give us a little background on that.
Yeah, I do. And I think that having like a one-stop shop place to be able to go and find the connections that you need that have already been vetted and that, like he was saying, they have the numbers with it, really would simplify the process on all ends because you can kind of see everything all in one spot. So I think that's a really, really good idea on that side for sure.
Isn't part of your role to sort of like drag people, drag the information out of people and try to get responses from people that aren't responsive? So wouldn't this help you also to service your clientele in like in a better way, than just having to spend a lot of time trying to get quotes and whatnot?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, having a one-stop shop to be able to get all of it in one place would be incredibly helpful and definitely save a lot of time, which of course is going to save costs too.
Yeah, you're live from the Del Taco drive-through.
He was in the car last time we did a stream.
I work when you guys do these, so it's like hard for me to, stay focused. I was just thinking, so this is actually so this is more than just like a estimation tool. This is actually like you're hiring engineers as well. just from my experience, I feel like entitlement is super local, and I mean, I'm actually literally working with like MEP designers right now, MEP engineers for a restaurant, and like it's a real big issue because they actually like don't know how to really like the tips and tricks for the entitlement, and this tenant has um, chosen them to be to lead that, so it's kind of really tough when someone, because it's like every city is different, and it's like if you haven't worked in that city a bunch of times, it's harder. You're gonna have like a lot more friction with the entitlement. So this tenant, they're handling all the tenant improvement construction, and they're building a restaurant, and so they hired an MEP engineer that is also an architect. And he has architects in his firm and does MEP engineering. And then they're also handling the entitlement, and I think that was a big mistake because I'm basically now the entitlement consultant de facto. Um, so I'm not getting paid for that. Yeah. So yeah, I guess maybe it would be a challenge, in my opinion, to like find that hyper locality on an online service. The MEP firm, uh, the tenant hired them. I think it was a personal contact. I mean, it just depends on the agreement, on the lease agreement. Like so we did our shell build out, and that was the architect handled the engineering and everything. So we just had a prime contract with
Chris?
the architect. And then for the TI, we're not putting in any money at all. So the tenants are like handling everything.
Did we lose you guys? Yeah, Chris, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
No.
Can you hear me?
Come on, Elon.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear Chris. Yeah, everybody sounds fine.
Where we're, oh yeah, so yeah, the tenant. So yeah, in this case, the tenants are handling everything and paying for everything. If I was paying, then yeah,
I
I would
can hear.
100% control that. Yeah, that definitely be something that you can, give as a condition in your, construction addendums for the tenant. I was just thinking also another good use case. This actually might be more if because you guys are doing kind of like all engineering, right? Like structural too. Yeah, the marketplace. Because I did have a time where I needed to install like 2 or 3 random light poles, and I needed to get that like engineered drawing done, and it was like really hard to find someone to like just do that because it was such a like one-off job. Like stuff.
Yeah, my question was going to be, do you have like, like what are you going to charge for the people to be listed on the marketplace? Oh yeah, that sounds like a good way to move forward. I just have always found that you have to charge people something or else they won't take it seriously. And so giving it out for free is always people say that to get the participation in that, but there's also the flip side of that some of the participants might not take you seriously if they don't have something invested in it.
I do think that might help. Sorry, paying a little bit or having a credit card on file help kind of like legitimize the identity. If you're kind of like thinking of like risk of like fake um, offerings, that might having a nominal payment might kind of help reduce fake profiles.
Absolutely. It was great. Thanks